Hey there, deep divers. Today we're taking a deep dive into one of the most foundational documents for any nation, its Constitution. And we're not just looking at any Constitution, but the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines.
That's right, a really pivotal document.
Exactly. And this isn't just a dry collection of legal articles. It's more like a living blueprint. It frames a nation's core ideals, its very structure, and crucially, the rights of its people. Our mission today is to, well, cut through some of the legal speak. We want to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight from this text, basically give you a shortcut to understanding the Philippines at its core.
A fascinating task. It's quite a comprehensive constitution.
It is. We'll be exploring everything from its national vision, individual liberties, the architecture of its government, and its, well, unique socioeconomic priorities. Let's unpack this.
Yeah, let's do it. And this constitution, ratified in '87, it holds a particularly significant place in Philippine history. It was crafted, right after the EDSA People Power Revolution, so the context is huge.
Right, post-Marcos era.
Exactly. It aimed to establish a government that genuinely embodied the aspirations of the Filipino people after, well, years of authoritarian rule. What's really striking, I think, is how it tries to balance these strong nationalistic principles with a deep, deep commitment to individual rights and social justice.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning then with the preamble. It kicks off with that really powerful phrase, "We, the sovereign Filipino people, imploring the aid of Almighty God." And then it lays out these, well, monumental goals to build a just and humane society and establish a government that shall embody our ideals and aspirations, promote the common good, conserve and develop our patrimony, and secure to ourselves and our posterity the blessings of independence and democracy under the rule of law and a regime of truth, justice, freedom, love, equality, and peace. Wow. That's an incredibly ambitious and hopeful statement of intent, isn't it?
Yeah. It absolutely is. The preamble is essentially the soul of the Constitution. It sets the moral, the political compass for the whole nation. And it clearly establishes the Philippines as a democratic and republican state,
Right.
where sovereignty resides in the people and all government authority emanates from them. That's Article 2, Section 1. And this isn't just some lofty ideal, it's a core principle, a direct response, really, to a past where that sovereignty was, frankly, undermined.
And directly tied to that national identity is the definition of the national territory in Article 1. It's more than just the landmass, right?
Bro, much
It
more.
includes all the islands and waters embraced therein and all other territories over which the Philippines has sovereignty or jurisdiction. It goes into terrestrial, fluvial, and aerial domains, the territorial sea, seabed, subsoil, insular shelves, the whole lot.
Yeah, it's comprehensive.
And what's particularly striking, especially for an island nation, is this bit. The waters around, between, and connecting the islands of the archipelago, regardless of their breadth and dimensions, form part of the internal waters of the Philippines.
That definition is absolutely foundational and, highly strategic for an archipelagic nation. It asserts comprehensive control over those vital maritime spaces. And building on that, Article 2, Section 2 states, the Philippines renounces war as an instrument of national policy, adopts the generally accepted principles of international law, and adheres to peace, equality, justice, freedom, cooperation with all nations. And there's that particularly unique policy, the commitment to freedom from nuclear weapons in its territory in Article 2, Section 8.
Right, that's quite specific.
It is. It really signals a nation committed to, peaceful global engagement and disarmament.
Okay, so we have the nation's foundational vision. The Constitution then turns its attention to the individual citizen. What rights and protections does it actually guarantee you? This leads us straight to Article 3, the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, and it's truly robust, especially when you think about the historical context it came out of.
Right, preventing past abuses.
Exactly. It aims to stop that happening again. Key protections include, well, due process and equal protection. Section 1, no person deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process, and everyone gets equal protection of the laws. That's the bedrock.
Fundamental fairness.
Precisely. Then there's protection from unreasonable searches and seizures, strict rules for warrants, and critically, Section 3 says, any evidence obtained in violation shall be inadmissible. That's the exclusionary rule.
A powerful safeguard.
Very powerful. Then freedom of expression. Section 4, freedom of speech, of expression, or of the press, plus the right to peaceful assembly and petition, vital for democracy.
Absolutely.
Freedom of religion. Section 5, no law shall be made respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So secular government, but protecting individual faith.
A careful balance.
Indeed. Right to information. Section 7. Citizens have a recognized right to information on matters of public concern, promotes transparency.
Accountability.
Right. And then the rights of the accused. This part is remarkably detailed. Section 12. Right to remain silent, right to competent counsel, and it has to be provided if you can't afford one.
That's huge.
It is. Protection from torture, no secret detentions. And confessions obtained violating these rights, inadmissible. Plus, sections 13 and 14 guarantee presumption of innocence, right to a speedy, impartial public trial, and the right to bail.
It's incredibly thorough. And what's particularly impactful, I think, is the clear stance in Section 18. No person shall be detained solely by reason of his political beliefs and aspirations.
Yes, a direct reaction to the past.
And regarding punishment, Section 19 leans strongly against severe penalties. Excessive fines shall not be imposed, nor cruel, degrading, or inhuman punishment inflicted. And this bit. Neither shall death penalty be imposed unless, for compelling reasons involving heinous crimes, the Congress hereafter provides for it. Any death penalty already imposed shall be reduced to reclusion perpetua.
That's a really nuanced stance on capital punishment, reclusion perpetua, that's essentially life imprisonment. This provision reflects the Philippines' complex history with human rights, especially post-authoritarian rule.
Right.
It balances, public safety concerns with a strong judicial preference against irreversible state killing. But it does acknowledge political realities, allowing Congress to potentially bring it back for, quote, heinous crimes, but only through specific legislation. It shows a deliberate move towards a more humane system, but one that leaves the door slightly ajar.
Okay, so a strong Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
Now, let's unpack how power is actually distributed. It's a classic separation of powers, but you mentioned some distinct Filipino twists.
Yes, absolutely. Legislative power is vested in Congress, Article 6, Section 1. It's bicameral, 2 houses.
Senate and House of Representatives.
Correct. The Senate. 24 senators elected nationwide, 6-year terms, and they're limited to 2 consecutive terms. The House of Representatives, not more than 250 members from districts, plus party list representatives making up 20% of the total. They serve 3-year terms, limited to 3 consecutive terms.
And the party list system itself has an interesting history there.
It does. What's particularly insightful, a real nugget, is that for the first 3 terms after ratification, half those party list seats were specifically set aside. They were for selection or election from marginalized sectors, labor, peasant, urban, poor, indigenous communities, women, youth.
Wow, that's very specific.
It wasn't just procedural. It was a profound effort, post-dictatorship, to ensure truly representative democracy. To guarantee those historically underserved voices had a direct way into the legislature.
A deliberate structural inclusion.
Exactly. And the legislative process itself. Bills need 3 readings on separate days. The president has veto power.
Right.
Congress can override that with a 2/3 vote in both houses. So checks and balances are built in.
Okay, then we have the Executive Department, Article 7, Section 1, headed by the president.
Right. The president and vice president are elected by direct popular vote. Single 6-year term. And Section 4 is crucial. The president shall not be eligible for any re-election.
That single term limit is quite distinct, isn't it?
It truly is. A very direct response to feels about concentrated power, especially after Marcos.
Preventing entrenchment.
Precisely. To prevent dynasties, ensure regular turnover. But it does raise that question. How does this framework balance executive authority with oversight, especially in crises? For instance, the president is commander-in-chief. They can call out the armed forces for lawless violence, invasion, rebellion. They can even suspend habeas corpus, the right to be brought before a judge or declare martial law for up to 60 days. But, and this is a big but, these actions face immediate congressional review and potential revocation.
So Congress can step in quickly?
Immediately. And the Supreme Court can also review the factual basis for such proclamations. That's Article 7, Section 18. It ensures significant legislative and judicial oversight, even in emergencies. It's a careful calibration.
Okay, checks and balances firmly in place there. Now, the judicial side. Article 8, Section 1. Judicial power in one Supreme Court and lower court.
Yeah. The Supreme Court has a Chief Justice and 14 Associate Justices, Section 4. And beyond just settling legal fights, their power explicitly includes the duty to determine whether or not there has been a grave abuse of discretion amounting to lack or excess of jurisdiction on the part of any branch.
So they can check the other branches for overreach.
Exactly. It's a constitutional mandate to check them, prevent arbitrary actions. Furthermore, the judiciary enjoys fiscal autonomy. Section 3. Their budget can't be cut below the previous year's amount by the legislature.
Financial independence.
Crucial for impartiality.
That fiscal autonomy really does sound like a robust guarantee.
And speaking of independence, there's also the Judicial and Bar Council.
Correct. Sections 8 and 9, they recommend appointees to the judiciary. And importantly, these appointments do not require confirmation, like by Congress.
So it insulates judicial appointments from some political maneuvering? That's the idea. Another layer of independence.
Okay, beyond the three main branches, the Constitution sets up these independent constitutional commissions. You describe them as guardians of democracy.
That's a good way to put it. They're not just bureaucratic bodies. They're designed as essential checks and balances themselves. Article 9, Section 1 lists them: the Civil Service Commission, the Commission on Elections, COMELEC, and the Commission on Audit, COA. And they all share provisions ensuring their independence, including fiscal autonomy, gives them teeth.
So what do they each do?
Well, the Civil Service Commission Article IXB focuses on meritocracy in public service. Appointments based on merit and fitness, protection from unjust removal, prohibits electioneering by civil servants, professionalizing the bureaucracy.
Makes sense.
COMELEC Article 9XC has the critical job of enforcing election laws, resolving disputes, deputizing law enforcement for free, orderly, honest, peaceful, and credible elections. And here's a fascinating detail, a real nugget. It explicitly bans religious groups from registering as political parties. Yes. And prohibits foreign government contributions to political parties, calling it interference in national affairs. Shows a deep concern for sovereignty and electoral integrity.
Very interesting. And the third one, COA.
The Commission on Audit, Article IXD. It has broad power to audit all government accounts, government corporations, even non-governmental entities receiving subsidies. And Section 3 states no entity is exempt from its jurisdiction. It's a formidable anti-corruption tool.
Wow, no exemptions. That's strong.
Extremely.
And then there's Article XBA on the accountability of public officers. Starts with that powerful line: public office is a public trust.
That phrase really underpins the whole section. It sets the standard. It lays out grounds for impeachment violating the Constitution, treason, bribery, graft, corruption, other high crimes, betrayal of public trust for top officials, president, VP, Supreme Court justices, commission members, and the ombudsman.
The ombudsman. Another key figure.
Absolutely. The independent office of the ombudsman is crucial here. Its powers include investigating illegal, unjust, improper, or inefficient acts by officials and recommending prosecution. And what's incredibly impactful, Article 11, Section 15, states the right of the state to recover properties unlawfully acquired shall not be barred by prescription, laches, or estoppel.
Meaning there's no time limit to go after ill-gotten wealth.
Exactly. The state can always pursue it. And Section 17 requires high-ranking officials to publicly disclose their assets, liabilities, and net worth, SALN, they call it.
Transparency again.
Vital. These measures were clearly designed to combat corruption, which, let's face it, is a persistent challenge everywhere.
Okay, moving from governance structures to the nation's fabric itself. The Constitution embeds a vision for the economy and social welfare. You called it a Filipino-first document.
In many ways, yes. Article 12, National Economy and Patrimony, outlines these ambitious goals. Section 1 talks about a more equitable distribution of opportunities, income, and wealth, sustained economic growth, expanding productivity, all to raise the quality of life, especially for the underprivileged.
Lofty goals. How does it try to achieve them?
Well, through several key principles. National ownership. Section 2 states all natural resources, lands, waters, minerals, forests, wildlife are earned by the state, and generally they shall not be alienated, meaning sold off, except for agricultural lands. Resource sovereignty is key.
So the state retains ultimate ownership.
Yes, and Filipino control. Exploration, development, use of natural resources are under the state's full control and supervision. Agreements often require Filipino citizens or corporations that are at least 60% Filipino-owned. Economic nationalism is strong here.
60% Filipino ownership. That's a recurring theme, isn't it?
It is. It extends to other areas, too. And the state even has the power, under Section 18, to establish and operate vital industries, and even transfer private enterprises to public ownership, with just compensation, of course.
So potential for significant state intervention in the economy.
The framework allows for it.
And you mentioned this Filipino-first approach extends significantly elsewhere.
Yes. Public utilities and mass media, Article 12, Section 11. No franchise for a public utility goes to anyone except Filipino citizens or corporations with at least 60% Filipino capital.
Same 60% rule.
Right. And for mass media, Article 16, Section 11 is even stricter. The ownership and management of mass media shall be limited to citizens of the Philippines or to corporations wholly owned and managed by such citizens.
Wholly owned. 100%. That's a very clear, emphatic stance.
It certainly reflects a strong sense of national interest and self-determination. It aims to prevent foreign dominance in sectors seen as critical to sovereignty and public discourse. And if you connect this to Article 13, Social Justice and Human Rights, the Constitution mandates the state to afford full protection to labor, local and overseas, organized and unorganized, and promote full employment and equality of employment opportunities for all. Section 3, it guarantees workers' rights, self-organization, collective bargaining, even the right to strike. Quite progressive.
And land reform.
Yes. Section 4 mandates the state to undertake an agrarian reform program founded on the right of farmers and regular farm workers who are landless to own directly or collectively the lands they till, tackling historical inequality head-on.
Social services, too.
Definitely. Section 11 commits the state to making essential goods, health, and other social services available to all at affordable cost, prioritizing the underprivileged. And it even endeavors to provide free medical care to paupers.
There's also that very specific directive about family life, isn't there?
Yes, often highlighted. Article 2, Section 12. The state recognizes the sanctity of family life and shall protect and strengthen the family as a basic autonomous social institution. It shall equally protect the life of the mother and the life of the unborn from conception.
That last part is quite definitive.
It is. And this commitment to family is echoed in Article Hefty, the family, recognized as the foundation of the nation. It guarantees children's rights to assistance, proper care, nutrition, and special protection from neglect, abuse, exploitation. It shows deep cultural values embedded right in the Constitution.
Okay, finally, let's look at how the Constitution aims to build the future. Education, culture, science, even sports. It seems to view these as crucial for nation building.
Absolutely crucial. Article 42 covers education, science and technology, arts, culture, and sports. Section 1 highlights the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels. And Section 2 explicitly mandates the state to establish and maintain a system of free public education in the elementary and high school levels.
Free elementary and high school.
Yes. And elementary education is compulsory for all school-age children. Universal access is the goal.
And the curriculum itself is, well, quite detailed in its aims.
It is prescriptive, yes. Section 3 aims to inculcate patriotism and nationalism, foster love of humanity, respect for human rights, appreciation of national heroes, teach rights and duties of citizenship, strengthen ethical and spiritual values, develop moral character, encourage critical thinking, broaden scientific knowledge, promote vocational efficiency. It's a broad mandate for shaping citizens.
A real blueprint for the ideal Filipino citizen, almost.
In a way, yes. And another interesting detail. Religion is allowed to be taught in public schools during regular hours, but only at the written option of parents and at no extra cost to the government.
A compromise, perhaps.
A balance reflecting a predominantly religious society within a secular state framework, and significantly, Section 5 mandates the state shall assign the highest budgetary priority to education.
Highest priority, that's a strong statement.
It underscores its foundational importance. Beyond education, Section 10 emphasizes science and technology as essential for national development, prioritizing research and innovation.
In culture.
Section 14 tasks the state to foster the preservation, enrichment, and dynamic evolution of a Filipino national culture based on unity and diversity, with free artistic expression. And Section 17 specifically recognizes and protects the rights of indigenous cultural communities to preserve and develop their cultures, traditions, and institutions.
Acknowledging diversity within that unity.
Precisely. And even sports get a mention. Section 19 promotes them to foster self-discipline, teamwork, and excellence for a healthy and alert citizenry. It's really a holistic vision.
This deep dive, it really reveals a document that's incredibly detailed, ambitious, and deeply rooted in the nation's hopes for democracy, justice, self-determination. It touches on almost every aspect of life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
From basic freedoms to economic policy, cultural identity, reflecting that whole journey after '86.
It truly is a remarkable blueprint. It embodies that collective vision for the country's future after so much upheaval. That balance or maybe tension between individual rights, state responsibilities, and those nationalistic goals, it's a constant theme woven throughout. It's really a testament, I think, to the resilience and aspirations of the Filipino people at that specific pivotal moment.
So what does this all mean for you listening as you reflect on this comprehensive framework? Consider how these guiding principles,
Yeah.
safeguarding human rights, promoting that Filipino first economy, even protecting specific cultural values, how they continue to shape daily life, the ongoing debates, the evolving challenges in the Philippines today.
Mm-hmm.
It's clearly a conversation that keeps evolving, doesn't it? Even decades after ratification, it highlights the enduring power and maybe the adaptability of a nation's supreme law.